Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and the markets have recovered a little bit, but nothing special. You got XRP at 223, but I'm going to show you in the private group today a lot of positive things on what I think is coming. Metal Lawman starts us off with an interesting theory. I have a theory. He was a retired securities attorney. I have a theory about the SEC's unexplained delay in dismissing the Ripple case. It might not be the SEC. It could be that Ripple is negotiating hard to get the SEC to agree to vacate some or all of Judge Torres' decision. The Torres decision was unquestionably great for XRP holders, but the A, finding of securities law violations, and B, injunction with attendant bad boy provisions are not so great for Ripple. This is particularly true if Ripple is considering a future exempt securities offering or IPO. I believe the SEC would have accepted a settlement where both sides dismiss their appeals and the SEC takes the $125 million penalty in a heartbeat. So it makes sense to me, at least, that Ripple could be negotiating for a better deal than that. This is all pure speculation on my part. I could be wrong, wouldn't be the first time. This is a question I've had for a long time because I'm not an attorney, just like I'm not a financial advisor. I didn't know this right here. It could be that Ripple's negotiating hard to get the SEC to agree to vacate some or all of Judge Torres' decision. I read that to mean that if Ripple and the SEC agreed on it, they could vacate some of Judge Torres' decision. I didn't know you could do that. And my question is, would the judge have to sign off on that to vacate a decision like that? I guess maybe we'll see some people expound on that. But then he goes, note, it is far from sure thing that a federal judge would agree. Well, here's the answer to my question. I didn't know he'd written this part. It is far from a sure thing that a federal judge would agree to vacate a prior ruling as part of a settlement. This was fairly commonplace several years ago when I started in the law business, but judges started balking at this in more recent times. Well, this is a special case. So the judge does have to agree if they decide to do this. Interesting times we live in. Scoop, Friday's White House Crypto Summit will be the first in a series of confabs designed to replace the previously proposed Crypto Advisory Council as a way for the President's Working Group on Digital Assets to collaborate with industry and policymaking. For Friday's gathering, a list of around 25 invitees has been finalized, I'm told. Unclear at this moment who's on the list. I'm sure we're going to know about some people on that list. Now here's Dark Defender. XRP is preparing itself to break the daily resistance shortly. We can see a bounce. However, XRP will be ready to start at the all-time high journey after breaking here. These are his supports. He's got short-term targets of 339, 585, and it's not financial advice. Now, I was watching a video interview that Mark Yusko did with Anthony Scaramucci this morning. It's interesting because in this clip, Yusko's talking about, he's trying to apply this to Bitcoin. But as you watch this clip, I want you to be thinking about this. He calls it the dirty secret. He's talking about how Wall Street manipulates markets. And he's floating the theory that Bitcoin has been manipulated. But my question is twofold. What digital asset has been promoted on all of mainstream media and crypto media more than anything else? All we've heard for years is Bitcoin, Bitcoin, Bitcoin. Now, what digital asset has been attacked more than any other, hands down? XRP, XRP, XRP. Mark Yusko himself said, he was referencing the Ripple case when he said, if you come at the king, you better not miss. So that's him saying XRP Ripple was coming at the king, which to me tells me that Mark Yusko knows fully well how important what Ripple is working on is and how important XRP is. While the whole last 10 years he's acting like he just couldn't figure it out. If he couldn't figure it out, then why would he think that Ripple and what they were working on would be coming at the king? Those two don't add up. Now, and we won, they lost, by the way. Now listen to this.
But the other little dirty secret, if you wanted to accumulate a large position of something, what would you do? Would you talk highly about it? Hell to the no. No. And look, I was there. I mean, I was there inside a number of firms. Soros.
You know, my theory on XRP has been you've got a 100% Bitcoin marketing machine. Anytime the XRP price starts going nuts, and when we jumped Solana and all that stuff and started coming for Ethereum, that's when the Bitcoin guys came out of the woodwork to start saying anything they could to drive the price down, because their greatest fear is it jumping. Well, I've always thought that the Bitcoiners knew. I've always thought that there's at least 100 of these major Bitcoin influencers who knew that XRP was a part of the bigger plan, and that they had X amount of years to make as many billions of dollars as they could on Bitcoin and Ethereum. And they had knowledge. I think that's the reason. I think they've all had knowledge, not only of who Satoshi is, but that this was a government plan. And I think they all know that XRP is the one too.
Used to do this all the time. I mean, I wasn't at Soros, but I had money with Soros. I had money with Scott Besson. I had money with Julian. I had money with all these guys. And I saw, my favorite story is Julian wanted to go super long copper. And Dwight Anderson had done the research. He was the commodities guy. And he comes in with this big thing. He's like, hey, Julian, I think we should buy copper. It's going to go up a lot. He's like, okay, great. Go short 50 million copper. And I want you to tell every reporter that we hate copper. I want you to tell Morgan Stanley that we hate copper.
Tell them we hate XRP. Tell them we just don't understand it. Tell them that no banks are going to use it. The banks will never use it.
Copper. It's like,
sound familiar?
No, I like it. He said, no, you're not. I want to buy a lot of it. And I want the price to go down. So
get the government to sue it.
I will argue that you got two things going on. One, you got this natural arbitrage that's going on between people who are long the ETF, the financialized version of Bitcoin, and short the future. And that caps the price movement. Second thing that's going on is I do believe, and I don't know if it's Buffett, I don't think it's Buffett, but somebody has changed their mind. In my opinion, somebody, and whether that's nation states or whether that's other billionaires, somebody has changed their mind. And they want to accumulate. And they don't want to accumulate at high prices, they want to accumulate at low prices. So what do? You unleash the bots on all the leveraged speculators.
The big boys are coming, folks. Now, if you want to truly understand what we're all a part of, remember, when you hear Internet of Value, think XRP. He's talking here about the Internet of Information and how much bigger the Internet of Value is going to be than the Internet of Information. And we just now got the government to get their boot off the neck of crypto. Here's what's coming.
The Internet disrupted media and commerce. All the value that was in ABC, NBC, CBS went to Netflix. All the value of mom and pop stores went to Amazon. This entire 30-year period has seen a massive shift, but it's tiny compared to financial services. Financial services is the biggest industry in the world. It's a 7 trillion with a T, and the T word is such a big number that people are numb to it, right?
With a T. Okay, this is Ripple's managing director, Fiona Murray. Listen to this clip.
And Fiona, I would love to ask you, in your view, what is most key to enabling, widespread adoption among the institutional community?
I think Anton, you described the challenge of liquidity very well. If I take a step back before that, at Ripple, our belief is that you have to prove utility to really enable adoption, and you need trust. So those two things are the precursor to massive change. And if I look at utility for a moment, for us at Ripple, we started over 10 years ago with a challenge, and that was cross-border payments are broken. Okay. There, and everyone who sends money overseas has probably experienced this. Things have improved massively over the 10 years that we've been in business, but high cost, low transparency, very slow. And so that was the simple problem statement that we set out to solve. And by and large, we've proven that there's utility in crypto markets. So today, where I sit, we move billions of dollars of value through crypto, through stables, and pay out in over 80 markets. So we're our own, eating our own dog food, our own best use case of where there's utility, there's adoption. And we're working with regulated financial institutions around the world to move that value. That second piece of trust cannot be underestimated. And we all saw what happened when FTX went down. And so that trust piece, it can be a little bit more nebulous, but again, sitting in my position where we're looking at moving billions of dollars of digital assets, what really matters is whether you have, number one, trusted counterparties and institutions to work with, or service providers, and number two, custody. So, whenever you're tokenizing an asset or moving an asset or touching customer funds, how do you keep that asset safe is one of the first questions to answer. And so we see custody, whether through custody service providers like ourselves who enable some of the world's largest banks to self-custody their digital assets, or indeed through the proliferation of more licensed custodians who are moving into the digital asset space, as really that trend is something that will mimic TradFi and provide safe, trusted institutions to operate with. And that unlocks a lot of interest from institutions who want to move into this space, but just don't have all of the players that they can trust and operate with.
All right, and look at this. This is Anthony Welfare, previously of Ripple. March is a critical month for ISO 222, crypto compliant assets. The Fedwire payments must be enabled to the ISO standard by 9th of March. XRP is by far the biggest digital asset in this space with a few others, XLM, XDC, Algo, and IOTA. The Federal Reserve Bank Fedwire Fund Service will transition to the ISO 222 message format on a single day, March 10th, 2025. The old Fedwire application interface manual format will be retired, and the March 9th, 2025, the format is mandatory. All banks will need to be compliant with the new format to enable successful wire transfers. Interesting that he brought up XRP in that conversation, isn't it? Look at this, Joseph Lubin. This is hilarious. So Joseph Lubin, you can't make this stuff up, folks. Joseph Lubin gets out from under the SEC lawsuit. He and Richard Hart Wynn get out from under their lawsuits, but Ripple still hasn't gotten it worked out with the SEC. You cannot make this up. Right here, Joseph Lubin is describing what Gary was trying to do to Consensus. They were trying to make Consensus, which is what it is a promoter of Ethereum. Make Joseph Lubin promoter of Ethereum. If you remember from the Bill Hinman speech when he gave the Ethereum free pass, Bill Hinman said Ethereum had no promoter, even though he had been meeting with the promoters, and the promoter, Joe Lubin, got on stage right after he gave the Ethereum free pass speech while the price was going up as a result of the speech. Listen to what he says Gary was doing.
So funding in the VC space was all about funding small projects, essentially, that they could get out of pretty quickly. And so we began to detect that the SEC was trying to kill our ecosystem when they just started subpoenaing researchers and engineers at the Ethereum Foundation, at Consensus, in other places, with the idea that they could land a reclassification of Ether from non-security to security, and then tie our company, Consensus, to being promoters of this sort of reissuance and securitizing of Ether. And so now that that's effectively behind us with the new SEC administration, we are unstraitjacketed. We were afraid to say certain things publicly, but now we can return to being very vocal.
Now we can return to promoting. I mean, this guy, I tell you what, that's why he's been hiding. It's not a coincidence that Bill Hinman all of a sudden shows up. We even saw Lowell Ness, A16Z's crypto attorney. They all went dark when we uncovered ETHgate, and then the pressure of ETHgate is the reason that they started going after him. What we would have rather they do is had a level playing field from the start, but these guys tried to game the system. So anyway, okay, I got a lot more that we're going to discuss, and we're going to talk about, I'm going to talk a lot about what's coming. And I mean, it's undeniable at this point. I don't care. Pullbacks, whatever. Pull back some more for all I care. I'll just scoop up more XRP. But we're going to, in DAIXRP.com, which is where you can join through the Patreon. You can also go to the bottom of this video and on YouTube and click the join button. It's the same group. We do extended videos and we do them without advertising in there. So here we go. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family, away we go.